Hello class, I am Roy Tate, and this video is for Dr. Satta's American Revolution class, Fall 2020. For this assignment, I chose to read Chapter 6 of Daniel Dreisbach's book, Reading the Bible with the Founding Fathers. The chapter is titled, A Defense of Liberty Against Tyrants. The chapter is a riveting examination on the arguments leading up to and through the American Revolution for the right of resistance. Dreisbach begins with reviewing the first generation of reformers, Martin Luther and John Calvin. He points out that both men, in their works, drew heavily on biblical passages like Romans 13 and 1 Peter 2. For the most part, both men taught passive obedience to civil authority and only deviated from that under dire circumstances. Dreisbach then continues on to the second generation of reformers and the wars of religion. The Catholic wars against the reformers of the church made theorists of the time like John Knox rethink passive obedience. They formed the idea that representative magistrates had the power to exercise resistance to a tyrant. And here, tyrant is an important term. A work called The Vindiciae contra Tyrannos describes a tyrant as a prince who willfully disregards or violates the compact with God and the people. This work was so influential, historian Anne McLaren, in her article Rethinking Republicanism, says that in 1622 it was burned by the University of Cambridge publicly. Then, not to be outdone, Oxford, doing the same, also made their students take a counter oath to the Vindiciae. Dreisbach then goes on to discuss the influence of Samuel Rutherford and his work titled Lex Rex, or in English, The Law and the Prince. The title here is a play on words, and it's also the premise of the work. The title means the law comes before or above the prince. Lastly, Dreisbach goes on to cover how resistance theology came to America. He cites that in 1776, 98% or more of European Americans were Protestant, and most of those Protestants were of the Reformed faith. He quotes founder John Adams as saying, "The Vindiciae and other documents like it were by which the original plantation of our country was occasioned. Her continued growth has been promoted, and her present liberties have been established." Building on those works were men like Reverend Jonathan Mayhew. Historian Alex Tuckness, in his article titled Discourses of Resistance in the American Revolution, says, Mayhew interpreted Romans 13 as commanding obedience to the king who punishes evil and rewards good, but not the tyrant, again tyrant, who punishes good and rewards evil. Here we find the true American debate. Was the resistance by the Americans justified in these secular and religious works? Certainly some thought not, but enough Americans used these works to justify their rebellion. And that's my summary of Dreisbach's chapter, A Defense of Liberty Against the Tyrants. Thanks for watching, and have a lovely evening.